hope you're doing good. Today we're going to be looking at As It Was by Harry Styles. Now there's not tons of prominent rhythm guitar mixed into this track, but there are only 4 chords used throughout the entire piece, which makes it really nice and easy for us to pick up and play along to, and we're going to sit lovely alongside those beautiful pad and synth sounds that run throughout the track. There's also that really nice lead melody that we're going to take onto the guitar as well, and we're going to play it with a capo on the 2nd fret so that we can do all the chords as open chords. But don't worry if you don't have a capo, because I'm going to show you a version after this where you can play it without one in the first position. So we place that capo onto the 2nd fret, and our first chord that we're going to be playing is a C major. To fret that C major, we put our 3rd finger onto the 5th fret of the A string, we put our 2nd finger onto the 4th fret of the D, and we put our 1st finger onto the 3rd fret of the B string. And we really want to make sure we're on the tips of our fingers here, so we've got that nice curve in the knuckles, so we're not interfering with any strings below, we're not muting any of the open strings that we need to sound. Also, we can bring our thumb over the top just to gently rest on that low E string, so it mutes it and we don't get that low note coming through the chord. So, tips of our fingers, we'll start with that A string, nice and clear, D string, then open G, B, and then an open E. After we've played that chord, we move to our A minor chord. And as you see there, that's just one change. We want to slide that 2nd finger back just a little bit, but our 3rd finger tucks underneath. Our 3rd finger is the only one that's changing a string and a fret. We've got our A minor chord. From there, we can keep our thumb as well over that low E string to keep that bass note muted. Then we go down to our D major chord. A little bit of a trickier change, but try not to bring your fingers too far away from the neck, too far away from the strings. The further you go away, the further you have to come back. We want to do as little reshaping and adjusting as possible. So try to get a nice fluid movement over those strings. That 1st finger moves up to the G and goes to the 4th fret. Our 3rd finger is now on the 5th fret, and our 2nd finger is on the 4th fret as well on the highest E. And we play from the open D string. Next chord, we go up to the G major. Our 3rd finger can stay where it is. And again, thinking about those small movements, those small adjustments, making everything nice and fluid. Our little finger's in waiting. It comes onto the 5th fret of the high E. Our 1st and 2nd finger go up to the 4th of the A and the 5th of the E. We've now got a full G major chord. Notice how that 3rd finger didn't have to leave. D, up to G. Now that is your progression throughout the whole song. But be mindful that the track starts with that lead riff, the lead riff we're going to work on in a minute. So we don't actually play the first chord in the progression. We're going to cut out that C major. So we hear that first little bit of lead melody, then when the rest of the music comes in, we start on the A minor, to D, to G, and then after that, we're just playing that C, A minor, D, G progression throughout the whole song. So there's a little strumming pattern that I've suggested that is useful for the intro, and then I would slightly change it for the verses and then go back to the first strumming pattern for the choruses. So it's coming up on the screen now. I'm just going to play through that once for you. So there I'm going down, up, down, up, up, down, up, up, down, up, up, down, up. Now that might sound confusing, just throwing loads of down ups and down ups at you, but the pattern's on the screen. Take your time with it, break that down really slowly, play this track at a slower pace without the original recording on first, and gradually build towards getting that right tempo. A suggestion I'd make as well is to start just by single strumming the chords. Don't throw yourself unnecessarily into the deep end of trying to nail that strumming pattern straight away. If you just want to single strum those chords first without the recording, and then put that track on and see if you can make those transitions in time between each chord, that would be great, and then start to add the strumming pattern. A progression of that could be to, once you've done the single strums, because the C major to A minor is a really simple change, you could just add the progression, the strumming pattern to that change. One finger, and then the single strums if you need to. Gradually fill in those gaps. Now the only reason I talk about a slightly different strumming pattern as well, just so you've got something else to think about, makes it a little bit more challenging. It's a very subtle change, but I just found instead of going down, up at the beginning, which is what we were using for the intro and the chorus parts, I just made that 2 down strums at the end, and it just seemed to sit a little bit better with that verse pattern. And then when it picks up, you get a little bit more of a skip by going down, up, down, up. So in those verses, it will go to more of a down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Very small little change. I just feel like that up strum in the choruses gives it a little bit more of a lift, a little bit more of a push. But see what you think, have a go, and you might even come up with a slightly alternated strumming pattern that you think sits in there right for you. Let's have a look at that lead riff now. We're going to start with our second finger on the 10th fret of the B string. Now I suggest using your second finger because we're going to have a bit of a 4 fret stretch going on in this lead melody that I think makes it a lot easier if we start with our second rather than our first. We're going to end up using the 10th fret and the 12th fret of the B, but we're also going to bring in the 9th fret of the highest E and also that 12th fret. So you can see how that spread of a finger per fret really helps us get to where we need to be. So first thing we do, we play the 10, 12 on the B, we go 9 on the high E, come back to the 12th on the B, and we play that 12th B 4 times. I'll play that nice and slow for you. Once more, 10, 12, 9, back to the 12th. Then we throw in a quick little 10 on the B, then we go to that 12 on the E. 2 of those, 1 on the 9. So all together nice and slow. Now that is the first section that you hear at the very beginning of the track before the rest of the chords come in. Plays that little part of the melody, bang, the rest of the music joins us. When that music comes in, we play a very similar riff to what the first bit was, but we just changed the very end of it. I'll show you how that goes. So the same first bit. Now this time when we go to that quick 10 on the B, we just go 10, 12, 10 on that B string. We cut out that high 12 on the E. So I'll play that second section once all the music's in for you now. Still maintaining that 4 fret stretch. Our fingers are ready for anything that comes next. So let's put those 2 bits together because that is the entire lead part that occurs throughout the song. Also, if you wanted to get a little bit fancier with it, you could add a little hammer on from that 10 to 12. Very subtle difference, but it just makes things a little bit cleaner, a little bit smoother. So if you want to expand on it a little bit, just hammer your full finger, your little finger, down onto the 12th fret of the B after you've played that 10th at the very beginning. And that can be done for both of the sections of the lead riff, just like we did there. One other little thing to point out is that while you're playing that melody, you notice that I'm releasing the pressure slightly when I play those notes, particularly on when we do those 4 notes on the 12th fret of the B. Just by releasing the pressure a little bit, so I'm not moving the finger away, I'm just taking the pressure off the note so it cuts dead. It just adds a little bit more definition and punch to it, and I think you can hear that in the track. It helps suit the mood of it, so give that a little go as well. I think you can also hear that melody played lower as well. It picks up in the second half of the verses. I think the first verse it comes in the second half, in the second verse it comes in straight away. Stick your headphones on, you can hear that really subtly in the mix. It sounds lovely, and I think we can do that on the G string and the B string, lower up the fretboard. We're going to keep our capo on if you got one, and we're just going to play open on the G, then the full fret of the G, then the open B, back to the full fret. That's when we get those 4 notes that we was doing up here on the B. Quick little open note, and then the 5th fret of the B, and then we take it off. And then the second section, same bit to begin with, and then it'll be open for open. So have a little go at that as well. The tab's coming up on the screen for all these, so pause it, take your time, see if you can work that out. Sounds really lovely. And if you don't have a capo and you want to play that lower lead bit as well, we just take that off and we play the 2nd and 4th Effectively, what our capo was doing there was playing the 2nd fret of the G and the 2nd fret of the B. We can just use our first finger to do that now. While the capo's off, let's look at how we can play those chords without needing the capo. Makes it a little bit trickier because there's a bar chord in there, but let's have a go. And it's nice to know both versions. We start with a D major shape this time, because we're now in the first position. We go up to a B minor. We then go to an E major, and then an A major. So that D major shape, we used it when we was in the 2nd fret, but obviously we was capoed, so it was a different note. It's the same shape here, going from that D, catching that open string, and those lovely high notes, shifting up to that B minor, remembering we want to, if possible, not move our hands really far away. We've come up from that D major, our 2nd finger's on the 3rd fret of the B, our 1st finger is going up to the 2nd fret of the A, and we're trying to lay that flat so it curves across the strings and catches that high E for us as well. And then a 3rd and 4th finger come onto the 4th fret of the D and G. And we're going to use the top of the index finger to mute that low E. And then we move into our E major shape. 1st finger on the 1st fret of the G, 2nd and 3rd fingers on the 2nd fret of the A and D, all 6 strings. And then that 1st finger can slide across the G, so we can go into an A major shape. It's another nice way of linking these chords and not moving our hands too far away. 2nd finger goes above it on the 2nd fret, 3rd finger goes below it onto the B string, still 2nd fret. Thumb creeps over to mute that low E, and then we strum through that A major chord. There we go, we've got the open chords with the use of the capo, we've got the other version which brings in the bar chord, and we've got the lead melody played high up the neck and low up the neck. So for what is quite a simple track in terms of chord construction, you've got more to work with there, which hopefully makes it a little bit more challenging for you, but obviously more fun and enjoyable at the same time. Thank you for watching, I really appreciate it, but most importantly, obviously I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you got something from it. If you did, then please consider giving us a like and a subscribe. This is a new channel. So far I've just been sharing lessons from guitar courses I've previously made, but now I'm going to be making new content specifically for this channel. So if you've got any suggestions, leave them in the comments, hit me up, let me know. All my contact details are there. And those courses I just mentioned, the guitar courses I've done before, there are links to those if you wanted to check them out. And feel free to drop me any questions. Let me know how you're getting on. I'd love to hear from you. Have a good day. Take care.